Good morning and Jai Hind to all of you दोस्तों. Friends, my name is Avinash Agarwal and in this particular lecture we will be discussing with you Yojana for the month of August 2021. Now this is going to be a very short and a very focused discussion on certain important topics that can appear in the examination दोस्तों. Right? So the reason that I have delayed this lecture is that this is going to be a shorter lecture. Right? I don't need so much time for this particular discussion is why we are starting this lecture a little late today after 6:30. Usually we start the lecture half an hour earlier, that is around 6:10. You can expect the lecture to start regularly, but today because the discussion is going to be very focused and very short, that is why we can afford ourselves the luxury of starting at this time. Is this clear, dosto? Right? So if you can hear me, if the audio and video is clear, please give me a thumbs up in the comment section. The first topic that we are going to discuss with you is Mission Karma Yogi. Right? As a part of this discussion, we are also going to discuss with you Digital India initiative, right? How that is being implemented and stuff like that, dosto. Right? So Mission Karma Yogi. So what is the aim? What is the objective? What is it that we are trying to achieve through Mission Karma Yogi? Right? Prateek, Vishesh, Shreya, as well as everybody else, Sneha. Good morning to all of you guys. So the idea is that मिशन कर्मयोगी के थ्रू हम लोग जो है बेटर सर्विस डिलीवरी प्रोवाइड करना चाहते हैं राइट so far as governance performance and accountability is concerned we want to improve the quality of service that we are providing to the people right so these are important keywords दोस्तों these are important keywords these keywords should be a part of your regular vocabulary right governance performance accountability and stuff like that this is very very important is this clear to all of you guys right so basically what we are doing is that we want to bring about a shift from rules to roles right so rather than being caught up in red tapeism rather than being caught up in rules rather than being lakir ke fakir right we want to focus on our roles right so rather than creating obstacles we need to facilitate the work that is being done right we need to work in coordination rather than work in isolation right we need to have an interdisciplinary approach right and there is a need for continuous capacity building exercise there is a need for a continuous capacity building exercise for our bureaucracy why is there a need for a continuous capacity building exercise because the challenges are new right circumstances are ever changing ever evolving so you cannot have a static bureaucracy you cannot have a bureaucracy that was created 25 years ago work in present challenges you cannot have the present bureaucracy working with challenges which are going to appear 25 years down the line right so when you are going to look at management right like for example there are various questions in gs2 there are various questions related to this entire aspect of management right so these kinds of questions these kinds of words they play a very very important role performance accountability coordination interdisciplinary capacity building and stuff like that and they have a genuine meaning they have some relevance to the discussion and to that extent this is very very important right now the focus of these reforms the civil services reforms right is that we want to create a citizen centric civil service right so citizen centricity is very very important right so the idea over here is that ultimately growth and public welfare needs to be promoted right the entire mechanism of the state is geared towards this objective that whatever we do there has to be citizen centricity involved in that right and we should be able to achieve faster and better economic growth and faster and better public welfare dosto right so that is what is being done through mission karma yogi dosto right role based training right that what is the role what is avinash's role what is neha's role what is shreya's role right what is prateek's roles what is preetham's role right so mission karma yogi basically shifts us from rule based to role based training because if you are focused on rules then you're not focused on the customer you're not focused on the citizen you're not focused on welfare you're focused on welfare following the rules however if you're having a role based training right so in role based training it does not matter what time of the day it is it does not matter whether the application window is open or closed it does not matter whether exactly all the procedure has been followed or not what matters is that what is our role and are we being discharging our role or not that is something that is really really important over here right? So there has to be a sense of behavioral change, right? Because see, the person who is delivering the service, the bureaucrat, the functionary, right, who is delivering the service, he needs to understand, or she needs to understand what is expected out of them, and accordingly they need to be able to modify themselves. That is why a behavioral change is required, dosto. This national program for civil services capacity building, so it has been designed such that it remains entrenched in Indian cultures and sensibilities, right? So we need to adopt the best practices from across the world, and even at the same time our own culture and sensibilities are very, very important, right? So what we have done is that we have created IGOT, or integrated government online training, or IGOT Karma Yogi platform has been set up, guys, right? So why is this IGOT created? So that a sense of training can be provided, and that training has to be a blend of, let us say, the Western civilization and the Indian civilization ka values, practices, beliefs, and stuff like that, dosto, right? So a public human resource council has been created, right? So this public human resource council will work under the chairpersonship of the prime minister, right? And they will oversee the entire capacity building exercise, right? Apart from that, a capacity building commission has been created, right, which will harmonize training standards. It will create faculties, resources, and it will have a supervisory kind of a role over all central training institutions, right? A special purpose vehicle, and SPV, will be set up. It will be set up as a not-for-profit company, right? And it will own and manage the IGOT Karma Yogi platform. So this SP will own all IPR on behalf of Government of India. So you can very clearly see that this is a three-tiered institutional mechanism. It's a three-layered institutional mechanism, starting with Public Human Resource Council right at the top, headed by the Prime Minister, followed by the Capacity Building Commission, headed by the uh, uh, right, I don't know who is the head over here, sorry. And then there is a special purpose vehicle, right, which is basically a section 8 not for profit company, which will be basically the owner of your IGOT Karma Yogi platform, dosto, right? Apart from that, a monitoring and evaluation framework will be put in place so that performance evaluations can be done. So if I have trained through the IGOT platform, so how has my performance changed across various KPIs, across various key performance indicators? How has my performance evolved? So this IGOT model, so it has tried successfully during COVID-19 pandemic, right? And going ahead, we believe, it is our hope, it is our sincere belief that we will be able to develop into a vibrant and world-class marketplace where content will be created, curated, vetted, and digital e-learning content will be made available to various civil servants who are basically wishing to upgrade and upskill themselves also, right? So the idea over here is, right, like whenever we are talking about confirmation, deployment, work assignment, notification of vacancies, right? So all these things will be integrated with a proposed competency framework that, at every stage of the career, that every stage of growth, we should be able to do this, right? Right, Shreya. That is correct, right? So good morning, Ashi, good morning, Nilesh, good morning, Preetam, right? Moving ahead. So the thing over here is that if you look at certain objectives over here, right? So the objective is that this entire program will be having this time period 2020 to 2025, let us say, and the entire budget is 510.86 CR, let us say, right? So this is how the program is going to run, right? And पोस्ट रिक्रूटमेंट रिफॉर्म अक्रॉस कैडर्स एंड पोजीशन जो भी करवाना है कि एक बार रिक्रूटमेंट हैज बीन डन, so after the recruitment has been done, right, so all the reform process that needs to be done, all the training process that needs to be done will be done via this, right? Mid career training will be done via this entire program, this entire mission, right? And if any special appointment etc is done, right, so even for that, all the management of logistics and the management of personnel etc, all the management of skill sets etc, it can be done via this entire platform, dosto, right? So we have already spoken about the fact that we are looking at role based HR management, we are looking at on site learning, right? We are trying to create an ecosystem of shared training infrastructure, right, including that of learning materials, institutions, and personnel, right? We want to calibrate civil services position to a framework of roles, activities, and competencies, right? So what have we learned? Role-based HR management, right? On-site learning, right? which will complement off-site learning, right? Ecosystem of shared training infrastructure, right? So, like for example, various PSUs can share their training infrastructure, various state governments and probably with the central government, everybody can share their training infrastructure. So don't need to duplicate that, and no need to waste money. And probably what we can do is that we can have a sense of efficiency, we can have a sense of getting the best job done, right? That is the idea over here, dosto. A framework of roles, activities, and competencies will get created for various civil services positions, and uniformity in training will be there, uniformity in expectation will be there. So everybody will knowing what the other person expected to deliver, dosto, right? And so we want to build and strengthen behavioral, functional, and domain competencies within the civil servants, right? So these are very important words. You can use these words in your GS answers, in your management answers, guys, right? We need to be able to enable all central ministries and departments and their organizations so that they can directly invest their resources towards co-creation, collaboration, and stuff like that, right? So only one word is really important, that is collaboration over here, right? Best in class learning content curators, creators, right? Public training institutions, universities, startups, and individual experts will be involved, right? And want to be able to undertake data analytics, right? And we need to be able to see, like, where is the capacity building going, where is the content creation going, what is the kind of user feedback that we are getting, and how is it that we can improve the system, right? Mapping of competencies and identify areas for policy reforms. So these are the areas that we need to focus upon, right? Capacity building commission, right? What is this capacity building commission? So it will assist the Prime Minister's Human Resources Council, right? So it will basically be a supervisory body over the CTI, that is Central Training Institutions, right? It will create shared learning resources, right? It will coordinate and supervise. It will recommend standards of training. It will set norms for common mid-career training program, and it will suggest policy interventions that are required in the areas of HR management and capacity building, dosto, right? So this is one topic that I wanted to discuss with you today, right? Mission Karma Yogi. So what are the important things that we have looked at today, right now in this particular topic, right? Governance, performance, accountability, role-based training, coordination, interdisciplinary movement, capacity building exercise, citizen centricity, focused on behavioral change, national program for civil service capacity building, right? Which will be basically a blend of Indian civilization as well as Western civilization's values, standards, stuff like that. I got, that is integrated government online training Karma Yogi platform. Public Human Resources Council under the chairpersonship of the Prime Minister will oversee the entire capacity building exercise. Expert body Capacity Building Commission will harmonize training standards. Special purpose vehicle सेक्शन 8 नॉट फॉर प्रॉफिट कंपनी आई गॉट कर्मयोगी प्लेटफॉर्म का ओनर बनेगा दोस्तों, राइट? मॉनिटरिंग एंड इवैल्यूएशन फ्रेमवर्क विल बी देयर. Vibrant and world-class marketplace needs to be created at various levels of your career journey, at a mid-career level, at the time of promotion, at the time of deployment, at the time of a special assignment. We can have this, we can have this capacity building exercise put into place. We are going to spend 510.86 crore rupees over a period of next 5 years, right? Mid-career training will be now be possible, right, for all government staff, right? Like I explained to you, right? Salient features is something that we have already understood. We want to put into place a FRAC approach. What is FRAC approach? It's a framework of roles, activities, and competencies. We want to bring about behavioral change, functional change, and we want to bring about a change in domain competencies, right? We want to be enabling various ministries, departments, and organizations so that they can collaborate, best in class learning, right? Capacity building, content creation, user feedback, and stuff like that. And we've also seen in detail the role played by the capacity building commission. Is this clear to everybody, right? Can we move ahead and talk about probity in governance, right? This is another very important topic from GS to GS4 as well as from management point of view. This is a very important topic, probity in governance, ethics. These are very important topics. So whether you are looking at the private sector, whether you are looking at any governmental organization, whether you are looking at regulatory bodies, ethics in governance, probity and stuff like that, they are very, very important concepts nowadays, guys, right? So let us talk about ethics, dosto, right? Is this clear to everybody, right? So uh, so SPV, yeah, you can say that. Basically, it will be, since it will be the owner of I got, right? So that special purpose vehicle will be basically in charge for the growth and development of I got in a way, so to speak. Is this clear to all of you guys? Is this clear, Shreya? Right. Moving ahead. Just hold on for a second, guys. Right. Moving ahead. Now, when we speak about ethics, so this word ethics, it's coming from Greek term ethikos. It means arising from habit, right? So, what is the meaning of arising from habits, right? So, ethics is basically a set of standards, a set of habits, right? And these set of habits should, or these set of standards should guide our behavior, our choices, and our actions, right? Now this is multidimensional. It is not very straightforward. It is not like, a few simple rules that need to be followed. It is multidimensional, right? Because it is deriving from the value system of the society. It is deriving from the rights that are existing within your society. It is deriving from a sense of obligation, fairness, and virtue that a public servant must abide by, right? So, given the fact that ethics, or the set of standards, or the set of habits that must guide our behavior, choices, and actions, it is deriving from value system of the society, concepts of rights, obligation, fairness, and virtues, right? Given the fact that there are so many sources for this standard, given the fact that there are so many sources to derive these standards which will guide our behavior, choices, and actions, to that extent it is considered to be multidimensional, dosto, right? Now, a sense of responsibility and a sense of accountability, they are very integral to ethics, dosto, right? So basically, ethics is basically a framework for holding the public functionaries legally accountable for their acts of omission and commission, dosto, right? So whatever it is that you did or you did not do as a public functionary, whatever it is that you did or you did not do, right? It's basically coming from that framework of ethics which is guiding you, right? And based on that, your legal accountability can be established. Everybody know what is expected out of them and what is not expected out of them, right? Because everybody understands the ethical framework of being a public functionary, right? So when you are appointed, right? So when you are selected for a particular position, okay, so then there is involved a sense of training, there is involved a sense of direction. You are basically given direction, you are basically given training, right? And that basically establishes, right, what is expected out of you and not expected out of you into your psyche, into your mind, and you're supposed to function according to that, right? So if you are not discharging your responsibility, right, if you are not holding yourself accountable to the standard that you are expected to work upon, then you will be held legally accountable also, right? Now, there was a committee for prevention of corruption way back in 1964 called the Santhanam Committee. Now, the Santhanam Committee made certain important observations which you all can use in your day-to-day life also, right? Now, they say that public confidence and respect which the individual functionary enjoys, so it is a result of collective efforts. So all of us together need to put in collective efforts. All of us together need to put in collective efforts, and based on those collective efforts, right, will an individual functionary enjoy the public confidence or respect or not. So I, Avinash, alone cannot decide the confidence or respect of public towards me. It depends upon the teamwork, right? So the teamwork is in the right direction. Each one of us individually will be having the public confidence and respect. If the teamwork is not going in the wrong direction, is not going in the right direction, right, then I as an individual, no matter how great I may be, I will not be able to enjoy the public confidence and respect, let us say, which I may be deserving of, right? So that is a this is a very, very important insight that everybody should gather, that we swim together and we sink together, right? So far as public confidence is concerned, so far as getting the respect that we deserve from the public is concerned for the good work that we are doing, we will either swim together and move together in the right direction, or we'll sink together and move in the wrong direction together, right? So integrity, honesty, objectivity, right? So if you are adhering to these principles, right? So then that will sort of promote trust and confidence among stakeholders. It will enhance credibility. People will have a trust, right? And the conduct of government functionaries should be beyond reproach, right? That nobody should be able to come and criticize you, right? For, let us say malpractice, or for, let us say malevolent behavior, or for, let us say doing something such that you get a personal gain out of it, right? So your conduct should be beyond reproach. It should be above criticism. It should be above a negative remark, right? So yes, definitely decisions can go in the wrong directions, mistakes can happen, but the most important point is that the intent should be in the right direction and should be seen to be in the right direction, right? So to that extent, you should be beyond reproach in all circumstances, right? Absolutely any deficiency in professional personal conduct places their personal integrity and quality of work in an unfavorable light and raises doubts about their actions, dosto, right? So there is any deficiency, like I said, please excuse me, like I said, that my behavior, right, my behavior should be above criticism, right? And to that extent, the intent should be seen to be in the right direction, right? Now, ethics in governance, right? So basically, ethics is concerned with human character. It is concerned with human conduct, right? Any kind of falsehood is condemned. Any kind of falsehood is not appreciated. Now, there was the second Administrative Reform Commission, second ARC, we call it second ARC. So they submitted various reports, and in their second report on ethics, they suggested certain principles of ethics for governance, right? So any framework of ethical behavior, whether in a governmental organization or in a private organization, any framework of ethical behavior, it should basically codify ethical norms and practices, right? That what are the norms that everybody is supposed to follow, right? That like for example, what is normal and what is abnormal. So whatever is normal is expected, what is abnormal is not expected, let us say, right? So what is normal, what is the norm? Because norm is some kind of a guiding, it's like a guidepost, right? It tells us that okay, we should take this direction and not take this direction, right? So what are those norms, right? What are the kind of practices that are expected that should be codified? Codified meaning that various scenarios needs to be codified, that okay, in this scenario we are supposed to do this, in this scenario we are supposed to do this, right? Disclosing personal interest so that conflict can be avoided between public interest and personal gain, right? So you need to create a mechanism for enforcing relevant codes. All right. So why is disclosing personal interest very important? Because that is that you are occupying a public post and you can probably benefit yourself or your family members or your friends or your colleagues who are probably working in a similar field. So if you are having any personal interest, you need to disclose that so that extra scrutiny can be done of your public actions to ensure that you have not used your public position to provide benefit to your let us say near and dear ones, right? So that extra scrutiny can be done on you only when you first and foremost disclose the personal interest that you are harboring, right? So disclosing that personal interest becomes really very important over here, guys, right? Providing norms for qualifying and disqualifying public functionary from office, right? So based on your ethical conduct, you can qualify or disqualify. So what are those norms, right? Apart from that, we are also having this code of conduct for civil servants, and even this code of conduct has evolved over time, right? So it is basically a list of do's and don'ts that civil servants are supposed to follow. This was issued in 1930s, right? And it is basically referred to as your conduct rules, right? So these conduct rules, they can guide you in the right direction, right? And keeping in mind the recommendations of the Santhanam committee, the conduct rules were revised and they were revised periodically, right? So these rules, like I'm saying again and again, that they undergo periodic revision. So these rules are basically a dynamic set of instructions for government servants, right? Based on introduction of new dimensions in the legal framework. So these conduct rules, they prescribe some general behavioral norms, right? Like how do we maintain integrity, absolute devotion to duty and stuff like that, right? And we must not basically behave in such a manner which is unbecoming of a government servant. जो चीज शोभा नहीं देती है, उस प्रकार का बिहेवियर, उस प्रकार के एक्शंस के अंदर हमें नहीं देखा जाना चाहिए दोस्तों, राइट? उसके अलावा दोस्तों, इट नीड्स टू बी मेंशन that there is no code of ethics prescribed for civil servants in India, although such codes they exist in other countries, right? So we need to appreciate the fact that there is a tradition of balanced integrity, right? We need to have a public attitude and approach, dosto. So even though there is not a specific code of ethics uh, in place, but definitely there are various other sources which are doing a similar kind of a job for civil service in India is something that we need to keep in mind. Is this clear to everybody, guys? Right? Is this clear to everybody? Nilesh, I have not yet planned that, right? Going ahead, maybe in a day or two's time, I can think about it, right? Because see, the important stuffs are something which have already been covered. Right now, I'm focusing on descriptive answer writing, to be very honest, Nilesh, right? So, linked with this Yojana discussion is an answer writing session, right? So, I've conducted like seven or eight answer writing sessions already, Nilesh, right? And I'm basically focusing on answer writing part of life more than anything else, because what I sense is that objective is something which candidates are fairly they are fairly capable of managing even by themselves at such an advanced stage of preparation, right? So to that extent I'm devoting the limited time and energy that I'm having towards answer writing. So that is the answer to the question that you are asking, right? uh, Hatke points, learning aspirant, my suggestion will be that if you are giving answers, right? So if you can give, just above average answers for all questions, right? Having appropriate introduction, appropriate points in the body, appropriate structure, avoiding grammatical mistakes and stuff like that, right? So that in itself can propel your answer to be above average. So the focus at this stage of preparation can be towards development of ability such that you are able to answer all questions above average, right? So if you could do that, that would be really nice, right? And gradually once you keep practicing answer writing, right, so you will yourself start incorporating certain very punchy points, certain very heavy points, certain very important points that can help your answer stand apart. So it is a process of writing, it's a process of training, it's a process of practice which will give you the ability to pick up, memorize, recall, and use these hatke points at the right stage of the examination. So it will get developed as a part. It's a part of, it's an integral part of practice. So if you practice more, you will be able to develop that knack. Don't worry about that; it will come to you, right? So let us move ahead, guys. Right? Let us move ahead to Digital India Initiative. Right? So what is the Digital India Initiative? Right? So this Digital India Initiative was launched in the year 2015. Why? So that we can bridge the gap between urban and rural areas. How? How do we want to bridge the gap? We want to promote investment in digital infrastructure. We want to bring in digital literacy, and we want to expand online service provision. So if I am a ruralite, and if I had to travel all the way up to the district headquarters for getting basic governmental service, so rather than doing that, right, what if I could just travel to the nearby common service center, and through that common service center, through the computer, through the internet connection in that common service center, what if I were able to get all the governmental services for which I had to earlier travel to the district headquarters all the way? So if that travel can be avoided, that wastage of time and resource can be avoided, then that is nice, right? So basically Digital India Initiative was launched in the year 2015 so that we could bridge the gap between urban and rural areas, to promote investment in digital infrastructure, bring about digital literacy, and bring about online service provisioning, right? So this Digital India initiative is basically an initiative related to customer centricity again, right? That we want to improve governance, right? We want to make it easier for people to be able to access governmental services, right? So we wanted to create a digitally empowered society, a knowledge economy, right? So these were the areas that we were focusing on, right? So digital infrastructure is a core utility. Like for example, what is the meaning of core utility? So your electricity supply and distribution network, your water supply and distribution network, right? Your public transportation distribution network. These are core utilities, right? Any society or our society or any civilization cannot hope to exist in the present times in the absence of these core utilities, right? So as a part of these core utilities, digital infrastructure also needs to be developed, because I don't think that we can imagine life without internet. I don't think that we can imagine life going ahead without these tablets and electronic devices and stuff like that. So to that extent, digital infrastructure has to be developed as a core utility for every citizen, not just the ruralites, not just those who are staying in fancy areas, right, but for the entire country, right? Governance and services on demand, right? There should not be any this concept of 10 a.m. to 6 a.m. 6 p.m. हम 10 to 6 काम करेगा या हम 9 to 5 काम करेगा, 9 के पहले 5 के बाद 9:30 के पहले 4:30 के बाद हम काम नहीं करेगा. All that bullshit should not be there, दोस्तों, right? So governance and services should be available on demand, and that can be done when the process is taken online. And we want to bring about digital empowerment of citizens, दोस्तों, right? So basically this is an umbrella program, right? It is covering multiple government ministries and department, right? And the overall coordination is done by DIT, right? And there are 9 pillars that we are basically working on, right? Broadband highways, universal access to mobile connectivity, public internet access program, e-governance reforms, reforming government through technology, e-kranti, right? Electronic delivery of services, information for all, right? And electronics manufacturing, and IT jobs and early harvest program seems to be the eighth one, and the ninth one is e-governance also, right? So these are the 9 pillars that you need to be aware of: broadband highways, universal access to mobile connectivity, public internet access program, e-governance, e-kranti, information for all, electronic manufacturing, IT for jobs, and e-governance also, right? So given the fact that we are the largest democracy, so we had started adopting e-governance hole slowly since 1970s, right? And now we are moving ahead at a rapid speed, dosto, right? There is also something called as smart governance. What is smart governance? Simple, moral, accountable, responsive, and transparent, right? So if if all the functionaries, they were abiding by these watchwords, they were following these watchwords, being simple, moral, accountable, responsive, and transparent, right? So it will go a long way ahead in providing effective and efficient governance in the country, dosto, right? So this is a hatke point. Learning aspirant, if you are there with me, right? This is a hatke point, right? Now obviously this hatke point, you need to revise this a couple of times. So you all should be able to gather all your hatke points in your registers, in your diaries, in your dedicated notebooks, and you should be able to revise them consistently to be able to recall them at the right time, at the right place, and be able to use them and fetch extra marks, right? So you cannot have infinite hatke points. Maybe you can have 100 or 200 or 300, right? But the fact that you will be having 100, 200, or 300, it will require revision. Only then will it be useful. Is this clear to all of you? Right? Moving ahead, dosto. So e-governance aims to make the interaction between the governments and citizens, governments and business enterprises, and government to government transactions very convenient, transparent, friendly, effective, and cost effective, right? So yeah, I mean, it will be easier to deal with the government is the idea, right? That is something that you need to keep in mind, right? Now there are various phases of e-governance. I'm really getting bored in this entire thing, so I'm going to move ahead, right? We have this NESDA framework, that is National E-Governance Service Delivery Assessment Framework, which we had put into place in August 2019, so that we can assess the effectiveness of e-governance initiatives, dosto, right? Then there is an online service index of NESDA, right? So it is based on UNDSA ka e-governance survey. So it will develop the e-governance structure of India at an international standard. Then we are having NEGP. So what are we having, right? So we are having NESDA, we are having OSI, that is Online Service Index, we are having NEGP, that is National E-Governance Plan, right? And it is providing vision, it is making all government services accessible to common man in his locality, right? Common service delivery outlets are being created and stuff like that, dosto, right? So all the services will be easily accessible in an efficient, transparent, and reliable and a cost effective manner, right? So these are the words which will keep repeating themselves. These are the kind of words that will keep repeating themselves. So you should be comfortable in using these words again and again at the right place, dosto, right? And following strategy, approach, and methodology is being adopted for successful implementation of NEGP, right? So we are putting into place a common support infrastructure, right? We are putting into place governance systems development so that we can monitor and coordinate the implementation, right? Centralized initiative, public-private partnership, integrative elements, and a few more points over here, dosto. Right? A few more points regarding NESDA has been mentioned over here. You can read this on your own time, dosto. Right? So this was my entire focused discussion. Right? This can be very helpful for GS2, GS4 as well as for management topics. Right? And so basically what we will now be doing is that you have some 15 minutes time. I will immediately share this document on my Telegram group. The link for my Telegram group is pinned in the chat box. You can join that if you have not already joined. And if you wish to download this note, you can join the Telegram group. From the Telegram group, you can download this note and you can read about Mission Karma Yogi, probity in governance, right? Digital India initiatives. And I'm going to ask you 3 questions exactly on these 3 topics, right? No, there is not going to be any this thing. What you are expected to do is that whatever you have understood, whatever you can recall, from that you are supposed to answer the questions, right? This is what I'm going to expect out of you, right, guys? So I will bring this session to a close. If you have enjoyed this session, you can probably like and share this session, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. That will be nice on your part, right? So with this, we can bring this session to an end, guys. We'll meet again at 7:35. Thank you very much. All the very best, and Jai Hind to all of you guys. Thank you very much.